Hey folks, it's been a while. Wow, I say that at the beginning of every single one of these, don't I? Anyway, I'm going to keep this kind of short because I'm in the middle of a big project, so there's going to be a bunch of content in like a few minutes. Okay, it might be a day or a week or so. Anyway, okay. Over Christmas vacation, I was thinking, wow, I really need to find some episodes I could do really fast. Maybe I'll do like a random Gels Game Archive. And then I remembered, oh yeah, the Rail Shooter Archives. I wanted to start the Rail Shooter Archives. So I figured I could do an episode of that, but I couldn't figure out where to start, you know, what was going to be the first Rail Shooter Archive, how I'm going to set this up, how is it going to go. I mean, okay, I knew I wanted to do an episode talking about why I love rail shooters and why they're one of, if not my absolute favorite genre, but after that, it's like, where do I go from there? What rail shooter do I do? How do I get people to send me, like, more rail shooters? So I start looking up rail shooters, trying to find, like, ones I've never heard of before, and I am making sure that someone hadn't already covered this well. I found there's, like, a bunch of threads on the internet, though, about, like, hey, let's list some Star Fox-style rail shooters, and it's always, like, the same 5 rail shooters over and over again. And even though they want Star Fox-style chase view rail shooters, it always gets sidetracked by light gun games. Like, every single time. And there's, like, a bunch of non-rail shooters that show up on there. And, like, I think I found at least 5 different threads on 5 different message boards, including one that was actually trying to make a list, and, like, all of them fell apart. I rarely found anything I hadn't found already. I did find, like, one YouTube video that mentioned some of the stuff that inspired the Rail Shooter Archive, like G-Vector, and then I found another one from some Russian guys who were, like, trying to show all the games in a specific genre on PS1 in a montage, and that one introduced me to a couple rail shooters I had never seen before. There were some from that other video. That one even showed me 2 that were, like, European exclusive, that were never released in the States. And I was like, alright, this is great. Hopped on Amazon, immediately started ordering them. I ordered 5 rail shooters I had never played before, grabbed the ISOs for the 2 European ones. I got to work, but I was still like, what do I do? Yo, where do I go from here? How do I start this? Cause, yo, I'm gonna be doing rail shooter after rail shooter, and I know in the comments, people are gonna be like, oh, you should do this rail shooter next, you should do this rail shooter next, and that's exactly what I want, but I know it'll be the same 5 rail shooters over and over again. So I was like, I need to make a list of all the rail shooters I already know. I need to make, I mean, essentially it'd be a to-do list, right? Yo, so where do I put the to-do list? Where do I tell people, this is where we're at right now, this is the rail shooters we know we'll be covering, you know, where do we go from here? And I was like, yo, what? Fuck it. WordPress is always like, hey, you know, you can have a second blog, you can have more blogs. Fine. Boom. Railshooters.wordpress.com. The Rail Shooter Archive. And I went to town. I made placeholder entries of every single rail shooter I could think of, just sorted by console. And I also marked the ones that are like classics, basically the handful of rail shooters that everyone's going to mention. Admittedly, they're kind of low priority. You don't need me to actually tell you about Rez. You don't need me to tell you about Afterburner. You don't really need me to tell you about Star Fox, now do ya? It's the other stuff that I'm really way more interested in, as usual. Mind you, I will still be covering those games, but they're low priority, you already know them. And then I have a separate one for, like, hidden gems, lost classics, things you've never heard of that are really, really good. Like, that's where you put your Panorama Cotton, because Panorama Cotton is amazing. Even though that one's relatively well-known in the right circles, it's still obscure enough that it's like, yeah, Panorama Cotton, boom, that goes there. Astro Trooper Vanarch, yeah, I guess we'll shove that there. I think that's where we should put Gamera 2000. So I have that, and so you can click that to just see those, and then, the stuff listed by console. And the cool thing is, they were like, hey, do you want to say how many posts are in each of these categories? And I'm like, fuck yes. So I know I've listed, like, 82 rail shooters so far, and, like, the PS1 has the most rail shooters of any home console. Also, under arcade, I put a subcategory of arcade only, so that way people are well aware when something like hasn't had a home port and probably really needs it. So that's where we're at. I made this up, and yeah, I found 82 rail shooters, because the best part is when you start listing things like this, when you get your brain going, you start going, oh yeah, there was that other one, and then there's another one, I didn't list this one, and it just starts flowing, and you'll notice from like the post dates when I started, this was like January 19th was when I really started work on this, and I started posting like all these different rail shooters that I knew about. Now, that didn't mean I've played them. They're all placeholder entries. They're like single sentences saying, something. A lot of them are really stupid. It's like, that's a rail shooter on the NES right there. Or blah, saying, oh, why won't this get a home port? On like Planet Harriers and stuff. Doesn't mean I've played them. I want to have an organized, sorted, numbered list that people could look at. So that way when they go, hey, I know a rail shooter that you should really cover, they could go there, see if it's on the list. You could still suggest it, but that way you know, okay, yeah, Gel is already well aware of this rail shooter. It's on the to-do list. I think it should happen. All right, I'll push things up if people are like, this really needs entry. But, it gives you an idea of what I'm really trying to find. If you see something that isn't on that list, we will make that happen. But remember, and this is the big thing, it's chase view. The back view stuff. No first person, no light gun games. Because the big thing with this list is this means I have to find a way to play all these games. Meaning I have to purchase a lot of these things if I can't emulate them. In fact, if I can purchase them at all, I generally wind up doing so to get the most accurate experience. I don't trust emulators. I've already recorded the audio on a few, and I make a note when I'm using an emulator, because, yeah, they might not be accurate. A lot of times, especially like PS1 emulators make things look way better than they do on PS1. I am not going to count on emulation being 100% accurate. But I'm going to be using emulators, so I mention that when I do. And yeah, so that's the thing though, is I need to get and play and talk about every single one of these things. That means I have to give a fuck. That means I have to be super interested. And when it comes to chase view rail shooters, I want them all. I want to play them all, even the bad ones. Like, trust me, Iridian 3D and Star X, they're on the list. So is Total Eclipse. We'll be getting to. I have a Total Eclipse and a Solar Eclipse. We will be getting to those, okay? I want to play even the bad ones, because the bar is really low on rail shooters. Like, if you can move out of the way of enemy projectiles and you can shoot enemies and they blow up, then it's good enough. Like, that is the good enough bar. Believe it or not, there are rail shooters that don't even meet that low standard. Total Eclipse, like, I have so much trouble just hitting enemies, and they take way too many hits to take out. So that's something to be concerned with. In fact, that's the best part, though. So for the past couple days, I've been recording footage, as you might be noticing in the background. Because when I do the episode where I talk about why I love rail shooters, I want to just smack you in the face with just tons and tons of rail shooters. I am not showing my whole hand here. I have footage, I have 30 gigs of rail shooter footage that I just want to shove in people's faces. So that way, when they watch it, they're like, oh, wow, that's a rail shooter, and that's a rail shooter, and wow, I've never seen that one before. I want to overload you with the rail shooters, as many as I can get my hands on. So that means for the past few days, I've been binging on rail shooters, which I didn't think that was possible. I mean, rail shooters are pretty darn uncommon, okay? They're not a dime a dozen. That's the whole reason I'm doing this list, why I'm so interested in them. Like I said, I'm trying to list every single rail shooter I can think of. 82. I'm at 82 right now. I might be able to scrounge up a few more, but, that's a pretty low number compared to other genres. Like, looking at the numbers, most consoles have a rail shooter, but they usually have a rail shooter. Like, 5 is a sizable number. When a console has like 10 rail shooters or more, that is really, really uncommon. Like, that hardly ever happens. Like, the PS1, and with all the ports, the PS2, those have like 10 rail shooters, 10 plus. And that's a huge number. That never happens. Now, I want you to think about every other genre on the face of the planet. Your beat-em-ups, your fighting game, your regular old shoot-em-ups. Every single other genre on the planet. Think about how many of those are on every other console out there. I mean, you will have like 50 to 100 at least of every genre on every console. Even right now, even though beat-em-ups, like, you don't really see them very often, they're really, really uncommon. Hey, guess what? Go on 360, there's still a good number of beat-em-ups. PS3, still a good number of beat-em-ups. Rail shooters? There's like 5? Actually, is there 5? I think there's 3. Like, I know 3. If I count the Xbox indie games, there's 5. Not necessarily good. But yeah, there's like 3 on 360. This is what... Oh, wait, no, there was Res. I keep forgetting Res. There's 4. There's 4 on 360. There you go. This is what I'm fucking talking about. They're just that uncommon. But binging on rail shooters has been a trip. Because initially, I was going to give Total Eclipse a pass. I thought Total Eclipse was alright. Like, I was going to say, like, it's okay, it's mediocre, it's passive. No, it's not. Because then I played Super Robot Shooting. And that game is the most slapped together thing I had ever seen in my life. It looks like a fucking joke. But you know what? It plays well enough. Better than Total Eclipse. I was having some fun with it. Like, that, if you're wondering, this right here, Super Robot Shooting, this is the new low bar on rail shooters. This is the minimum. This is what I consider to be the averagest of average rail shooters. If you cannot meet the standards of Super Robot Shooting, you are not a good rail shooter. And, like, again, rail shooters, they're so simple that it's kind of nuts. Because all you gotta do is move, shoot, make it all work. If you can shoot the enemies and you can get out of the way of their attacks, then we're pretty much good. So there's some, like, companies that have only made, like, hardly any games that do a really good job on their rail shooters. And on the flip side, sometimes you run into, like, better companies that aren't doing that great a job. But there's a lot of, like, lesser companies that did pretty okay with their rail shooters. I really love it. It's a trip. Another one that was a trip, like when I ordered all those rail shooters, here's the best part. They were cheap as fuck. Like, seriously, most of them didn't cost me more than $5, other than Sky Target. Sky Target was the most expensive, it cost me $15. Came in gorgeous condition. Like, I feel bad about owning this thing. The condition is the Saturn case has no scratches on the front, on the case. The disc it's mint. I'm like, this was $15? You sent this through the mail? I don't deserve this. Take it back. Give me a half-scuffed one. I can't preserve this beautiful quality on this. But aside from Sky Target, everything else was super cheap, like $5 max. Some of them cost me like $1, $2. No one cared about a lot of these games. After shipping, like, shipping was half the cost. After shipping, it was like $50. It was less than $50. It was $48. And, like, some of these I had no faith in. My favorite example, Nova Storm. Alright. The background of this game is a pre-rendered CG movie. You use like pre-rendered CG ships on top of a pre-rendered CG movie, and you shoot at them. This looked like the lamest piece of crap I had ever seen. There was no way this could be good. Then I get my hands on it, it's fucking awesome. Seriously, well, I'm bumping up that episode because I think I have a good idea what it's like. Because, admittedly, I had a lot of difficulty with the first stage. I've got to admit this in the episode. So I cranked it down to easy mode. Yeah, they should call that LOL easy mode because you become comically overpowered. But I was surprised, like, I'm not a Psygnosis fan, so I don't know much about that. Like, I know Psygnosis has, like, a cult following, but I was never a fan. I knew about them, I never really got into the games. I played some of them, they were alright. Now I'm starting to get it, because this is a Psygnosis game, and it turned out actually pretty good. It has its flaws, which mostly have to do with the fact that it's hard to tell how to interact with the background. It has a few dick moves in there. But, yeah, Nova Storm was pretty fucking alright. I like that. That's pretty good, and that's what we're here for. That's what I want to do with the rail shooter archive. I want to keep finding more. Even if I can't do a video, even if it's impossible to comment, I want to give it an entry. Because, like, this is the first time I've publicly mentioned this outside of, like, a few friends. I haven't been spreading this around yet as the time is recording. Like, technically, like, the Rail Shooter Archive isn't open because I haven't made the episodes. I record 5 episodes. I'm in the middle of editing them right now. Because when I launch it, I don't want it to just be, like, one episode sitting there. I want there to be 5. It's looking like they're clocking it at 5 minutes long. They're not reviews. It's like a gel game archive, but a bit shorter. It's just me talking about the game, really short, 5 minutes. So I've got like 5 episodes that I wanna launch with like that number, so there's something there. And there'll be a videos button you can click to see all the ones that have videos in them right now. So that's super cool. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. But yeah, I haven't actually opened the site. And sometimes I get like 26 viewers the fuck out of nowhere. And I don't know if that's just from me updating the site and fixing things around and editing posts and adding new ones and browsing around. I don't know if that's doing it, or if I'm really just random people on the internet are looking up rail shooters and just finding the Rail Shooter Archive. But from the message board posts, from the hits I'm getting without even mentioning the site, it's clear this is something necessary. Because rail shooters are so hard to discuss, and there's a certain, like, the genre has a bad reputation because they're on rails, which people always associate with being bad. So, like, I think rail shooter fans are like this cult group of people that's really having a hard time, like, finding a place to talk about them and understand other people who understand rail shooters. It's clear they have their fans. It's just in the general gaming sphere, it's such a weird and rare genre. Again, they make like a rail shooter per console to show off what it can do. It's the tech demo genre, and they rarely really evolve it beyond that. So, yeah, there's a lot of people, I think there could be, who want to play more rail shooters. They can't find anything on it. Not to mention, I've got posts on every rail shooter out there, and a big old thing that says Rail Shooter Archive. So if you're looking up a particular obscure rail shooter, like Jupiter Strike, there's going to be a chance you find the blog, you see, hey, Rail Shooter Archive, you click that, boom, archive of rail shooters. We are making this happen. I'm pretty excited about this. So that's what I've been doing these past few weeks, is capturing footage, trying to get my ducks in a row, figure out what rail shooters I like, because we're going back through the history of them. Some of these I've already beaten or spent enough time with. Like, I haven't beaten all of them that I'm going to be doing episodes on, and I'm going to mention that. G-Vector, I can't get past stage 2. I'm sorry, just deal with it. But, like, I've spent enough time with a lot of these, because I love the genre, that some of them I'm like, okay, I'm already confident enough to do my 5 minutes on this one. Others, I'm going to have to spend a few days, like, really getting in there at, like, learning the mechanics of the game and learning to love it. To really comment on it. But yeah, the rail shooter archive, I think this is a good idea, and I'm trying to figure out which ones I already know enough about to just churn out some episodes. Like we're starting from the top down. It's like anything that I'm like super confident on, like bump that up. We gonna talk about it. We gotta get these episodes out there because I want to fill out the rail shooter archive as fast as I can. I've got apparently at least 82 episodes to go. And yo, what's the goal of this? Well, isn't that obvious? If I keep doing this, people are going to suggest to me more rail shooters I've never heard of. At the same time, I'm going to spread the word about rail shooters that other people have never heard of. So that way when they go, man, I want another rail shooter. I didn't know Jupiter Strike was a rail shooter. Shoot, I stared at Jupiter Strike for 20 fucking years. It was a PS1 launch game. Long box shit right here, okay? Had no clue it was a rail shooter. If someone told me, I might have picked the fucking thing up earlier. So, like, Jupiter Strike's a grand example. I don't think it's the greatest. Music's awful. But I think there's going to be people who will be like, Jupiter Strike, that's exactly what I want. Like, I want to spread the word so more people can play more rail shooters. And more importantly, like, make it so rail shooters isn't a bad word. Make it so that way it can have its cult following, and we can look at the genre as a whole, learn from it, and maybe encourage indie developers to produce more awesome rail shooters after seeing the genre as a whole, what works, what doesn't work, the recurring problems, the things that are awesome, the things that are less awesome. Really think about how to make the best possible rail shooter. And not even indie devs. You know, I kind of have my fingers crossed maybe Hideki Kamiya will show up. Which is a funny thing. Hideki Kamiya loves rail shooters. He's mentioned this a few times, that, like, if he could remake any game, it would be Space Harrier. Yeah, that's the thing me and him can agree on. Like, I'm a little disappointed that I haven't heard anything about Star Fox, about, like, him working on new Star Fox, because I really want him on new Star Fox, but considering Metal Gear Rising 2 was just announced, there's Scalebound. I think Platinum's probably too booked up to be the surprise devs of Star Fox, Wii U, whatever we're gonna call it. Which, you know, I said this was gonna be short, and as usual, we're going at nearly a half hour. Let's do it. Let's talk about my opinions on the Wii U Star Fox, which, yo, we don't really know anything about other than it's coming soon enough. I am worried, because I've played the whole Star Fox series, all of it. Star Fox 1, Star Fox 2, 64, Assault, Command, 64 3D. I've played them all. I like Star Fox. I actually like Star Fox Assault. I think it's underrated. Not as good as 64. Arguably not as good as the original. But I really like Star Fox Assault. That one I'm cool. Oh yeah, that's right, there was Dinosaur Planet too. I've played that, not a lot, but yes, I played Star Fox Adventures. But yeah, so I've played them all, and I know that the Star Fox series, as much as we think of it as a rail shooter series, as much as it's one of the best rail shooter series, I like it more than Panzer Dragoon, seriously. I love Star Fox. I understand that it's not. I understand there's a chance the next game is going to be all range mode like Command was. There's a good chance it could be like Command, and Shigeru Miyamoto, he's been talking about motion control with it. Like, he wanted to do it back on the Wii because he was like, the motion control would be great for a game like this. And we've seen him tilting the controller around, so concern number... I love motion control, but there's limits. So concern number one is that it's going to require us to use crappy tacked-on controls that are shit. Yo, that's concern that was kind of an issue with Star Fox Command. I made do. There's that. Concern number two is that it's not a rail shooter. Again, it could be like Star Fox Command. I beat Star Fox Command. I squeezed enjoyment out of it, but Star Fox Command was garbage. Like, I have to make that clear. It was a cool concept. Because, like, you did this strategy thing, and you drew lines on the touchscreen to run into different enemies, and then that took you to these all-range mode stages where you actually fought the enemies. But the thing was, all of it was interconnected. And like, you had a limited amount of fuel, which was based on the amount of time you took on the different stages, and you had to defend the Great Fox, which could only take one hit, and you had to do things in a certain order at a certain time. So if you made any screw up in any of the anything in this game, the whole mission eventually fell apart. Because if one enemy touches the Great Fox, you lose. And those missions are like a half hour fucking long because they're made of all these little sub-levels. And that was a fucking mess. And that's not even getting into the story issues. I'm hearing Star Fox Command is not canon, or even if it is canon, it takes place far enough into the future that, like, it doesn't happen. I don't think it's going to affect Star Fox U. I don't think it's going to affect anything, which makes sense because it is a poorly written mess that is not compatible with the Star Fox canon at all. And this is coming from someone who understands that Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet is part of the Star Fox canon, not Command. The plot of that game is Fox McCloud's apology quest. The Anglar Empire has shown up. Who are they? I don't care. You have to go out and apologize to the entire Star Fox team because you told them all to go fuck off. So Fox McCloud flies around the Lilat system, finding everyone and apologizing to them. It is horribly written. Everyone is out of character. The designs are awful. And the thing that really pissed me off was actually the female characters in there because of the way they use the color pink. Stay till the end, hear me out on this one. Every single female character was pink. Even Crystal was given a pink outfit, which just looks awful. And I'm like, why? Crystal would never wear pink. Why would you put her in pink? But then, there's one exception to this rule. There is one character that is not pink. That would be Cat Monroe. You know, the character who's supposed to be pink! Seriously! The one character, the recurring female character who is a pink cat, they're like, oh no, she's black and wearing a stupid nipple hat. Fuck! That's not even getting into what they did to Panther Caroso. Panther is supposed to be this suave, debonair guy who's constantly hitting on Crystal. And in that game, he speaks like a Neanderthal. He's all, me, Panther, am liking Crystal now. You fucking incompetent shit weasels! What the fuck? You can't write! I don't care if you're part of the original Star Fox team! You're a hack! Every game you make is full of these stupid flaws! Get out! Argonaut Software guy whose name I keep forgetting? Fuck off, I don't like your games. You had a good idea. Let me rephrase that. You need more Nintendo oversight. You have great ideas, but you fuck them up. You should not be left to your own devices. You need a partner to rein you in and point out the flaws in your ideas. Because if Star Fox Command was, number one, written by someone who understands fucking Star Fox, it's not hard! The story is incredibly How did you fuck this up so badly? And number two, if just the Great Fox could take more hits. Like, that's it. Just make the Great Fox able to take more than one hit. Make two. We're good. Game's great. Love it. But no, Great Fox takes one hit, go boom. All the plot is made of stupid. Can't stand it. Oh my god, I hate Star Fox Command. Like, it's not the worst, but it pisses me off. I get... It pisses me. That's the funny thing. A lot of people didn't play Star Fox Assault or Command. I like Assault. Yo, I love when people complain about Assault and they complain about the story. The enemies, they're just cheap Borg knockoffs. Yeah, no shit. Star Fox isn't known for its brilliant writing, not like its unique plots. It's known for making you feel like you're in a movie. The generic cliche-ness is part of what makes Star Fox Star Fox. And you gotta be cool with that. Because I'm cool with that. Because I like Star Fox. It is all about spewing things that sound like movie quotes. And that means that a lot of the plot is generic as fuck. Andros was not unique Ooh, evil emperor mad scientist guy going to take over the Lilat system. So original. Much wow. Yeah, so having alien insect things that infect you and are basically the Borg, deal with it. That is what belongs in a Star Fox game. Generically, you know what the worst thing about Command? They don't actually really talk about the Anglar Empire until the last stage. You spend the entire game fixing everyone else's problems and apologizing, then you get the team back together. It's like, all right, we're gonna fight the enemy. Who are they? The Anglar Empire. What are they doing? They're on Venom. Okay, let's go. Boom! Yay, we win. Like, we never really find out who they are or what their motive is. I guess in the branching paths we might, which was one of the cool things. That the game had multiple endings and branching paths. You got to beat the game first in order to unlock the ability to do that. And as soon as you try to branch, the difficulty level spikes up, and the game is already just a busted mess in terms of difficulty, so it becomes unplayable. I tried to branch, it didn't work, I'm done. No, Star Fox Command, go fuck off. I know about all your endings, some of them are really cute, a lot of them are very crystal-based. I like crystal, but there's a right way and a wrong way to handle the character, and it wasn't even handled wrong. It was very crystal-centric, and I think the only reason, let's be real here, the only reason anyone likes Star Fox Command is because of Cursed. Right? We go be real here, we go be honest. It's because you like Cursed. If you're unfamiliar in what I guess is the quote-unquote canon ending, if the game was canon, Crystal leaves the Lilat system, wears a leather outfit, and changes her name to Cursed, and is just super sad and grumpy and vengeful. That's like the canon ending to the game. That's the first one you get going through without branching. So there you go. I have rambled for long enough. I have a rail shooter archive to archive. Because fuck yeah, rail shooters. If you don't like it, then your opinion. Can't blame you. There's some hiccups, but yo, you should really try some of these. Some of them are pretty sweet. Anyway, I hope y'all have fun. I should probably comment on something else, but I can't think of it. Oh yeah, there's a lot of other things to comment on. We'll do that later. Anyway, rail shooters incoming. So yeah, now you won't be confused when 6 episodes all labeled rail shooter archive all show up one after another. See ya.
Well, at the very least, all ships are home.
What happened? You feeling a bit rusty or what?